Okay, I think it's as good a time as any to get started. Hello, good evening, good time zone, good morning, good afternoon, good. It's good. Well, I like to think it's good. It's good. I am Benry Paints, and I am very tired. It's been a long week, but I'm back. And unfortunately, it's the wolf time. You might hear the sound of like a 3D printer going in the background, and that would be because there is a 3D printer going in the background. So, might as well get to it. I have an obscene number of space wolves that I need to get working on. I have another commission that I need to work on. I've got the 3D print that's happening that I need to work on, that I will get to eventually. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this, because we have a ton. No, that can go away. I like this picture. We have stuff we got to do. So main camera, there we go. The camera angle is a little bit zoomed out because we don't need it to be as zoomed in. This is going to be a pretty chill chat, I guess, because I don't have any... I'm probably not going to get around to painting, because these guys are actually kind of frustrating to put together. Oh, that was my head. Oh well. But, yeah, what we got today is, that. We got this, and I've already put away one set of these guys. I've already got them built and based and terrained, because I'm cool like that. But these guys have already been put together. And so, what I'm going to do is throw these guys off the table by gently placing them back on the little shelf that I've got over here. And I'm going to go ahead and throw these on the table, because, yeah, I have not assembled any one of these yet. I have basically just taken it out of the box. And so that's what we're going to be working on today. And I'm going to be using these instructions to do so. Oh yeah, and why not? They also have 1, 2, 3. They got 3 bases, so there's cool for that too. I'm kind of surprised at how big the Thunderwolf Cavalry bases are. Additionally, we got this guy, we got that guy. Those were extra bits from the other box that I didn't use at the time, and I'm like, okay, well, one of them's going to use a sword and a gun, because everyone wants to use a sword and a gun. So today's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and put these together, I guess, if I remember how, because I'm very sleepy. It's been a long week, and it's made me a bit loopy. So if I sound like I'm a bit loopy, that's because I am. So y'all can go back here, and I'm just going to go ahead and prop these up as best I can. You know what? That works. Can't believe that I actually just did that. And it looks like the first one that needs to be put together is 1A. Is this lad right here. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and put together 1A. What is that? That is my... Okay, so we're going to see if we can down and angle this just a smidgen. Just a smidgen. Yeah, that way it's not looking at the back of my head when I lean in, because I'm going to be leaning in as I, like, do stuff. Okay, so that's as far as I can go. And in the meantime, that should be enough for me to look at what I'm looking at. So, I think I mentioned last week, I got these new guys. These are new nippers, and they're really good. What they do, and I forgot about this, is like this one is a lot narrower than this one, and that makes it so it has a much finer edge for snipping, for cutting. Because like this warhorse is the one I've been using for like 8 years now. And this one is the same size on both ends, and it's also a little chipped because I've been using it as a wire cutter like an idiot. So there's that as well. But I don't know if you're going to be able to catch the difference here. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the difference. So I'm gonna snippy this one, and we're going to... And I don't know if you heard that little snip, but it actually makes like a very audible snip. And that's because it's having to pinch until it cuts through, and that's not good. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to do is take this one, and it's so much more minor. Here, listen closely, audience, listen closely. whisper quiet. Of course, I also start sneezing as soon as I decide that I'm going to stream, because we had this massive rainstorm and it changed the pressure in the city. So now my nose is just doing all sorts of awful things. So unfortunately, you might be stuck with me having a little bit of post-nasal drip. And uh-oh, where'd I throw the guy? There's the lad. He's over here. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry. He's okay. The half of the wolf carcass is okay, as everything falls apart around me. That's fine. I had it perfect and then I ruined it. And the other thing is I'm going to need some of this stuff, which is really funny to me because it's literally not Tamiya extra thin cement. This is a lie. I have taken the name brand cereal out of the bag, or out of the box, and put in the store brand cereal, because what I got instead was this stuff. Tamiya airbrush cleaner, which I'm honestly probably also just going to buy to clean the airbrush, because it absolutely disintegrates acrylic paint. And it's been pretty darn impressive. Not recommended for cleaning bristle brushes. Ah, crap. I've definitely been using it to help with that. But that's okay. Either way, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to continue using it. It's chemically very, very similar. So as long as I brush it on, it basically reacts the same way to the plastic as the actual extra thin cement. So it has been incredibly good as a budget replacement for extra thin cement, because extra thin cement is expensive. This was like $5 for 40 milliliters, and this was like $15 or $19 for 250 milliliters. And functionally, it's the same. So if you need to save some money, or you're trying to model on a budget, that's definitely a way you can save a little bit of money. Because for the longest time, I was like, extra thin cement, I'll never run out of that. And then I ran out of it. And so having the alternative as an offering has allowed me to save a little bit of money. Especially because I guess now I'm technically a commission painter. And that means I'm going to be going through a lot more of it, because if I'm assembling armies, then I'm going to be using a lot more of that stuff. I'm actually going to blow my nose in a second. But I'm first going to get rid of these mold lines, because as with anything with painting, they don't look that bad now. They're pretty minuscule, but as soon as you put paint on it, it's just going to enhance it. So I'm going to mute myself real quick. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Hey, Shiny Mew Paints, how's it going? It's starting to rain. It rained really bad here earlier, so I'm definitely having some issues with the sinuses. And they didn't start until right before I hit the play button, so I sneezed really hard, and it seemed to knock something loose in my brain. So I'm going to try and go as best I can, and try not to, like, sniffle and snirk into the microphone, because that's bloody disgusting, and you guys don't need to hear that. But today I am just working on assembling some more minis that were given to me as part of the Space Wolf army. So I am now up to like 2 sets of wolf, doing some touch-ups, painting over some mistakes, and then going to come in with the right color this time. That's absolutely fair. That's something I need to get better at, is going back and cleaning up mistakes, because I basically get tired of like painting very specific details and then I just stop, and because the overall paint job of the model tends to be pretty good, they go unnoticed, which is great. But when I'm trying to show off my models, it's like, oh man, all I see are these doofy little details that I clearly didn't try and touch up at all. And so it's like I need to get better about not being that guy. Okay, so you can now go on here, and because this is basically going to react the same way, it will eventually melt together. Probably going to need more though. So I'm not actually using Tamiya extra thin cement for this. I'm using Tamiya airbrush cleaner, because it does basically the same job. It's made with like a slightly different chemical mixture, but it's only a percentage off. So you can essentially use it for the same thing and it'll do the same thing. So that's kind of the plan right now, is I'm just going ahead and using the Tamiya airbrush cleaner inside the Tamiya extra thin cement container, because the brush is really good for what it does. And I'm just going to keep this pressed together, and you can already see kind of the ooze happening. So it's already working, which is great. Now I need to get him some footsies. Are you the right one? No, it's right in front of me. It was this one right here. He needs feet for days. I'm looking for 10 and 11, so I'm going to do 10. We're going to do 11. I don't like that sound. Oh, well that's bad. I need to be right back because it looks like my print failed pretty catastrophically, so give me a moment, please. We're gonna be right back. I don't have a be right back on here? What happened to my be right back text? That's okay. This is gonna go right here, and I'm going to mute my mic. I will be right back. Well, that sucks. It was going well until I guess it decided it didn't want to, and it pulled up the entire print. So I'll have to go back and recalibrate that after I get off stream. And so yeah, like I said before, I'm just kind of going through with the back of the blade and scraping off the little bitty bobs that are really obvious mold lines, and trying to make it so they'll be less obvious when the mini gets a layer of primer and paint on it. Because it honestly is pretty bad. Like, that's something if you really want to get into professional painting or competitive painting, is learning to get rid of the mold lines, because they show up really, really bad on these minis when there's paint on them. And that's something I learned from doing a lot of remodeling. Whenever we used to like do seams on drywall with the mud, we'd try our best to feather it out as much as possible, because the paint was going to really catch if you left a drywall seam there. And I guess for a lot of people it's not a big deal, but we kind of want it to not look like a repair. So we tended to be really retentive about that. Anyway, just going to go ahead and scrape that off. And well, it's not perfect because I'm not trying to do like display quality models. It looks better than it did, and that's really all that matters. And now I've got to remember which foot goes to which one. Or, you know, I can just get it in one like a boss, because I'm a boss. So, just go ahead and get some more not plastic cement on here. Let's see if I can line that up again. Oh, I did, just perfectly, because I'm that cool. And then we're going to do the same thing with this little footsie. I will say these models are in that weird place where Games Workshop was getting really good with its sculpting, but they were like still learning. So there's some really funky bits and bobs that don't need to be separate parts that are separate parts here. Like the feet from the ankles. I don't understand that, but that's okay. So that's going to go down there. And now I can get his butt and one of his legs and one of his other feet. So it looks like I need 9 per foot. And that's going to go with part 4. And of course I'm going to miss a spot because I immediately looked at the wrong side of the instructions. But that's okay. I'll get it again in a second. Okay. So yeah, it looks like I set the retraction a little too far back on the thing I was trying to build. And so it just yanked on the piece, and instead of Z-hopping, just pulled the entire thing up. So I might need to do that. I don't know. I don't know enough about 3D printers. I'm not good with the FDM 3D printers, and it's making life really difficult. Okay, because I've been trying to print this one thing, a fairly straightforward thing for a client, but it's so small and the details are so fine that it just looks terrible every time. And so I've done a couple prints now. I started printing on Sunday, and every print has come out looking like dog water. And it's because I'm having issues with stringing. I'm having issues with like gaps in the print itself. And it's like, I'm not really sure how to fix that. And the only positive is the pieces are so tiny that it's not taking up a lot of filament. and I can reprint it again relatively quickly as I test it. But for the life of me, I cannot get it to do what it's supposed to do, even though I've done some troubleshooting. And the other weird part is that, at least with Ultimaker Cura, it seems like there are settings in there that I don't have access to or have a different name. So the fact that there's not like a standard technical nomenclature means I might as well be listening to someone tell me the instructions in Pig Latin. So I think I just really need to sit down, do some more studying, figure it out that way. Because, yeah, it's definitely becoming that thing where, like, this should have been done in an afternoon, and it's now on, like, day 3 or 4. And so I'm just really frustrated, and I want to get it finished. And I'm also kind of tickled that after doing all those Space Wolves, because I used a newer blade, my thumb is really calloused up and looks disgusting. And so, that's another weird, dumb issue that I'm dealing with, is that it still has some leftover cuts and wounds on it from like 2 weeks ago when I first assembled all the Space Wolves. And so I'm hoping eventually that heals properly, because my Touch ID on my phone doesn't work very well. Okay, you can go right there, because that's where you belong. Oh, that's a good angle. Okay. And this just goes in here, so all I'm really going to do is soak a lot of it in here, and then soak a lot of it in there. And those fluids mixing should meld the pieces together. And so after a little while, after pressing that, the plastic should kind of bond as chemically as it all melts. And so I will just leave that like so. Actually, no, I won't, because I'm going to grab his butt. So this, again, weird positioning by them, but this just kind of gets popped into here. Just like in there. So we're going to try and make that work. So yep, that's just going to go ahead. I'm going to basically drown the stuff, because I really don't want to have to fight this over and over again. So I'm going to go ahead and basically drown it in this non-plastic cement. And unfortunately, because of how it's fitted, you just kind of gotta cram it in there and then squeeze, which is a very awkward thing to have to say when you're trying to put a tail on a wolf. Okay, so that's going to be fine. Now I can go ahead and do the other leg that I missed, which was 3 and 12. No? Yes, 3 and 12. Okay, so there's 3. I'm going to take that out. And then 12. Boom. Boom. Okay. And that'll be most of the legs. All of the legs, because if I recall properly, wolves, Thunderwolf Cavalry only have 4 legs on the actual pack animal. And then I can move from there to working on the dude. Well, I gotta do his head first, I suppose. So yeah, what I'm kind of excited about is I'm really interested in getting into, I can't remember the name of the game. Conquest. After doing all those paints for one of my clients. And they're very excited at the prospect of getting me into that game and being able to play games against me. So, I'm looking forward to that. And from what it sounds like, they're willing to pay me in models because they know about the army that I'm interested in getting in, which is just 100 Kingdoms, which are like normal humans. So hopefully that means I'll have even more cool stuff to paint. Let me see, did I get all the bitty bobs off of him? No, he's got one back here. Does he? I guess so. That was such a clean cut, I can't even find it. So I'm just going to act like that was it. Nothing there, so we're going to go ahead and put his foot on him. Once again. Just kind of drown it a little bit in that stuff, and we're just going to put it right in here. If I can find where it's supposed to go. There we go. And then just hold that for a second as it kind of does its thing. Yep, there we go. Okay, and so we'll let that set for a second, and as it does, grab the rest of the leg, and wow, that's an awkward... Oh, okay, he's like mid-stride. I think he pivots off of this foot, though. which is going to be interesting to have to deal with in a minute. Because if I remember right, like getting these guys on the bases was funky. And a lot of it just had to do with how they're posed, because they didn't make them plant off of more than 1 foot at a time for most of the models. So you're really kind of anchoring them on one contact point that is held together at a joint. So it feels very weird. Okay, we're just going to hold that together for a second. And it actually looks like he got 2 mouths. I don't remember which one I gave the last one. So, actually, nope, I don't know where the... No, that's okay. We're going to do the more Robo one this time, I think, because I don't think I did the Robo one last time. Let's see. Are you Robo? No, you're normal. We're going to go ahead and do the more Robo one then. So that one is going to be... Looks like... one moment, please. Let me check this out for a second. I know there's nothing to look at. So this guy, he's got 1 laser eye, and that's kind of it. And nothing over there. So yeah, I think the one I want to do... Or is that even the right model? He looks normal. And this one's like mid-jump. He's mid-leap, so that's not the one I'm looking at. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and make this one a lot more Robo. We're going to have a Robo pup. He's going to do 47, 46, and 45, it looks like. Which they were kind enough to all place on one side of the sprue. Because something that I slowly found out while working on other Games Workshop stuff is for a while their sprue placement got absolutely crazy. And I could never find anything. Though I did find, while looking at like the scouts, is that even though they had 2 sprues for the scouts, and parts kind of scattered across those, they kind of overlapped, so they were in the same place. So if you had like parts 13, 14, and 15 down here, then in the next sprue down, there'd be like 37, 38, and 39. And they all kind of matched up real nice. So kudos to whoever designed that sprue, because that made putting the scouts together to be very, very easy. Okay, what am I doing here other than almost slicing my nose with my knife? I reached up and scratched my nose and I had the knife pointed right at it. That was really dumb. So we're just gonna, again, kind of get some of this stuff down so that he doesn't have these big bits, these big hunks of sprue still stuck on him. Okay, just a little bit of that. And this is a weird choice because they've definitely done this thing. Oh, that explains. Does it? Yeah, that explains it a little bit. I think I might have used the wrong eye on the previous one, because this one's got like a robo eye, and I'm surprised that it fit as neatly as it did onto his head. But I think I did it on the wrong one because. Or no, I'm incorrect. Okay, I see. Because this one goes here, and then this goes here, and it actually slides in? Oh, okay. No, it's got to go the other way. This one's got to be fitted in first so it fits. It's got to fit so it fits, fellas. And that way it all links together and you've got a wolf head. And so, I'm just going to go ahead and take this time now, since I've already got it, to glue everything together. And that way everything will kind of actually sink in and melt together. And while it won't entirely get rid of the seams, it'll make them a whole lot less noticeable. Yeah, so see, now the seams they're still there, but they're nowhere near as bad. And that requires me to just kind of press everything down to let everything settle. And I just realized, on the relative scale of things, these things are carrying Space Marines around, so that means they're effing huge. I didn't really think about that when I first saw them, but these are really big. Like, these are dire wolf sized. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and once again soak both parts down a little bit so that they each melt. And then just press them together and hold it for a few seconds. And eventually, it will all kind of melt together, which is exactly what we want. Just like that. A little bit again in there to melt all of this together, and that will kind of hold its own. We're going to put you over here, and you're just going to fall over. That's fine. I'm going to worry about oh no, 37, 38. We're going to go ahead and do that first. He wants his leggies on there, so he's going to get his leggies on there. Okay, so 38, 37. We're going to knock these on here. It still tickles me that of all the places for this song to play in any Yakuza game, it is in a burning Chinese restaurant in the middle of a Chinatown in Tokyo. As you fight a man with a karambit. Karambit? That curved knife that you see that comes from, I think, Malaysia? Someone will probably correct me and put in the right answer there, but I legitimately don't remember, don't know. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a really cool song, and I really like it, but it doesn't feel like it's playing in the right place. And it's not even, like, I guess it's kind of a huge moment, because you're trying to stop someone from doing something really dumb, and this is a guy you fight before you get to him. But, at least I think it is. It's been a while since I played the game. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because the fight mechanics in Yakuza 6 aren't great, but it felt really anticlimactic for how dramatic and cool this music is. Because, I mean, even if you're not into the Yakuza, this is a very dramatic song. This sounds like the kind of song that would play at the end of a movie when they're fighting with the last bad guy or something. And it's most definitely not. You're fighting like a mid-boss. Okay. And something else you can kind of see is just how much, I don't want to call them less good, but less detailed the sculpts were. Because I don't remember when the Thunderwolf Cavalry came out, but you can definitely see there's a level of detail that, while is still very impressive for the size, is not up to snuff when compared to some of their later models. You know what I mean? Okay, and I think he just sits there, which is really funny. He sits pretty high up on this lad, so once again, we're going to wet down the seat. We're going to wet down his seat. And we're just going to go ahead and stick the lad on there. And he's got a little crotch nubbin, which matches up with the saddle. And we're just going to hold that there for a minute, because that feels like the right thing to do. And once that's done, we're going to put some in the peg, and then some there. And then we're going to look at where the peg is and line it up, and there we go. We got a Space Wolf Cavalry Rider. Well, I got the top or the bottom half of him at least. And I'm just going to set this over here and let it dry a bit. You can take a nap, buddy. It's a wait. No, that's not okay. It knocked everything loose. Okay, so this can go in, and I think if I lean him, how can I lean you so you won't fall over again? Like so? Aha! Okay, on to the next one, because there are 3 sets of these, and each of the sprues are kind of independent when it comes to doing the wolves, but then they start intermingling when we move into the rest of the minis. So this can go over here, because I don't need you right now. You are the B sprue, which I do appreciate their organization for this sprue. It is pretty darn good, and does prevent a whole lot of frustration as you go through assembly. Need this one. Goodbye. And we're going to take this one. And we're going to take this one. And take this one. And this one. And I think that's going to be it for now. We're going to put that together. First, we're going to saw off some of these little nubbins because we don't want them protruding out. Yeah, I'm in that weird middle ground where it's like, I want to paint this really well so that it shows and reflects well for the studio and for the game store that it's going in, but at the same time it's just like, man, I don't want to paint them too well because these aren't meant to be display models. These are meant to be just kind of play models for them to use. So I'm trying to find that happy medium of how much detail I want to work into them and how much I want to work on them, you know? Okay, so that's good. I think the biggest thing I can do is just try and get rid of as many of these mold lines as possible, because they are very obvious. Now, something I did see that almost made me have a cat until I realized it was AI generated was someone previewed, spoiled an Orchimedes. And Orchimedes is a cool orc character that's part of Gazkul's group, the Goths. And I was hoping it was real, but when you look at it really closely, you realize just how badly designed it is. Like, the console he's supposed to be at is facing away from him. His fingers look all wrong. Parts of him are hyper-detailed that don't need to be hyper-detailed. And it's stuff like that that just makes me remember why I'm not super fond of AI art. You know, other than the fact that it's built on stolen art. It's just like, okay. Okay, so there we go. We're just gonna do that, and because this stuff dries out relatively quickly, I don't actually want to do each one individually, so I'm just gonna go up and down the seams a little bit where there's clear gaps, and let the liquid cement kind of use capillary action to get into the seams, and then I'm just gonna hold it together so that they recognize the bond that they have, and it only grows stronger. Okay, so squeeze that together, squeeze this together, and he's almost, it's really funny, he's kind of upright, he's almost like a man. And I'm just going to hold that until it kind of dries a bit, and then I'll get the feet. I've actually been kind of putting off putting these guys together just because I really don't like to. I didn't have a lot of fun assembling these Wolf Cavalry. But, 15, oh my gosh, he's got so many bits. 23 and 24. So while this may not be the most captivating stuff, it at the very least has motivated me to get it done. Possibly hang out with some other people who are also working on stuff. You know, the things that are important. Okay, gonna nip that. Gonna get both of his back leggies first, and then I'll go ahead and do his front leggy. But in the meantime, get some of this. Get some of this. Wait a minute, that goes here, I think. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of work at the job, which makes sense. That's one of the most generic sentences a human being could say. We've been doing a lot of work at the job. I sure would hope so. I'm gonna go to the business factory and make me a business. And we're gonna do a business and work on acquiring some mergers and do more business. But, it seems like... Which way do you go, George? That way? That way? No? This way? Yes, I figured it out. I only had to try 2 options 4 times to figure it out. One of the biggest issues that we've been having is that it looks like cyber attacks have started to really jump up. And that's incredibly obnoxious because that means people are getting spam emails and they're getting phishing emails and they don't know anything about them. So they get them from what they think is a safe source and they click on them, and it doesn't need anything else beyond that. And then it creates new problems because it starts jumping to other people's computers while also making it so that the affected user can't see that they're affected. And it's just like, man, all this stinks. And so we've been trying to play frantic catch up and clean up with that stuff over the past couple days. And I think this week I got lucky because when it first hit, I was at lunch or dealing with someone else. So I wasn't really a big part of that cleanup crew. And then Yeah, but the first time it happened, I was the one who figured it out. And that sucked because we had a new employee, a new gentleman joining our team, and we were all supposed to be saying hi and getting to know him and all that, you know, schmoozy stuff. And the next thing I know, I'm looking at my emails and seeing I've got like eight emails all from the same like complaint of like, hey, that we think that this isn't real. So I had to run out of that meeting and run back downstairs, try to get all that done. It felt bad having to be like, hey, we know you're new and we know you're important, but I gotta go. Just had to like, you know, almost sprint out there. And I was just happy to know that it wasn't just a bad hunch, that it was a big deal, and we hopefully got that stuff shut down as quickly as possible. But, yeah. Captivating stuff, right? Now, what I do think is kind of cool is seeing some of the robotic joints in these Thunderwolves, because he's got like this piston right here. And so that'll be a neat little thing to paint, because I think I'm going to do these guys mainly like dark and earthy tones. And so seeing like metallic in there is really going to make it pop. I hope. Where are your bits? I know I cut them out. Whatever. Okay. Attach the paw to the ankle, please. Same thing. Do that. Fit you between my fingies. Do that. And then put this right here. Oh, look at that. I found another bit. There's another right there. And hopefully, this is why you get sharp knives, folks, because this is not a sharp knife. So I'm having to press a lot more than I'd like to, which means there's a larger chance of it just jumping off the plastic and slicing my finger open. And just remember, Benry Paints is very stupid and continues to do things like this even though they know it's dangerous. Don't be like Benry Paints. Don't accidentally lose a finger because you couldn't be bothered to get a sharper knife. Be intelligent, please, and do the smart thing. Okay, and that'll just kind of go right in there, and we'll hold on to it. And now it looks like he's waving hi at his neighbor, so that's pretty cool. Good for him. And then the last one I did the robo leg on. So this one I'm not going to do the robo leg on. I'm just going to go ahead and do a regular leg, which feels a little lame, but I want them all to look at least a little bit different. Let's see, can I get in there? Bink, I can. Bink, I can. And bink, I can. Hopefully not losing a finger. I also need 17 right here. Bink. Trying not to cut any of the furs off. Now, the fun thing about fur is it's actually not that difficult to paint, because if you do it right, all you really need to do is hit it with a base coat and then hit it with a dry brush, and it'll look fantastic. Or like a really dark base coat and then a slightly lighter dry brush to be the mid-tone, and then a lighter dry brush to be the highlights, and it can look pretty darn good. Something that I never really thought of that Philon Miniatures did a really good job of bringing up is that, like, the color of an animal's fur coat isn't just monotone. It isn't just one or two colors, that it goes through different depths and shades and whatnot as you look across it. So with longer furred animals, longer hair animals, you might see much darker concentrations on like their back, and then see it get lighter on their stomach as it kind of hangs away from them, because you're seeing tufts of their fur instead of deep concentrations of it. So I don't know how much I'm going to try and emulate that, but I do think it's kind of a neat thing to think about, because it's not something most people think about when they look at fur. And so that might help with making your fur more interesting. That's not what I was looking for. Leg? Leg. I was looking for leg. I found leg. Okay. Now, something kind of cool that did happen last week is that I invited a couple friends to go to the game store that I've been singing the praises of over the past couple weeks, and they both took me up on the offer. So we got to go to the game store, and one of the friends, who has always had kind of a weird love-hate relationship with minis and with like Warhammer and whatnot, I think they between like going to on vacation with a group of friends, other friends, old friends, and just their job, putting them in better mental headspace. Their enthusiasm for this stuff has risen tremendously. And on a personal note, like for personal edification, gratification, not edification. Edification is about education. On personal gratification, it's just really fun seeing them having a good time again. Because for a long time, it felt like they were just kind of doing it because I was, or other friends were. And they weren't really enjoying it. It was just like, yeah, you know, I want to hang out with friends. They want to do this thing, so I'm going to do this thing as well. But on when we were there, it was kind of like Kid in the Candy Store, where they were really interested in this one game. And they were looking at the models and having a whole lot of fun, just being like, oh my god, look at this cool model. And that's really not a feeling I think I've seen them have in a while. So watching them be excited about things again just made me happy. Okay, so he's all like, wow! 18, 19, and 20. It's all over here. And I'm hoping that we can continue on with this type of joy of just getting to enjoy our hobbies for much longer. Because it felt like there was some interest at the beginning, like a lot of curiosity, and then it kind of tapered off as they realized that they just didn't have the time for it, and it frustrated them. At least that's what it felt like, but I don't know. I'm not inside their head. So yeah, I just hope that anyone who is into a hobby has the mental spoons to really enjoy the hobby and enjoy what they're doing, because it's very easy for it to become a chore and to not really enjoy it anymore, and then you kind of lose sight of why you got into it. And then it just becomes a thing you do, and it loses its magic. And that's something that I would really hate to watch happen with people. So please, I'm just begging you, don't let that happen. Try and find novelty. Try and find enjoyment out of the hobby you enjoy. Hopefully not at the expense of others. That would be that'd be very bad. Try and find joy in the hobbies you enjoy while enjoying it with others. Still not great, but worth a shot. Okay. So we're going to just shave all this stuff down, just like we did the last one. There's going to be a lot of repetition on... I'm having a hard time on this, because I really am just kind of repeating the same steps over and over again when it comes to, you know, cutting off pieces, shaving down the extra bits so that it's a better fit, so it doesn't look as bad, and then gluing it together. So I apologize that this is not going to be the most interesting stream in the world, but it is just meant to be chill vibes, chill stream with vibes, vibe streams. Okay, so this needs to go much higher up. And I think just for the sake of ease, I'm going to go ahead and this is the thing I love about this stuff, it's so thin that I can just drop it in like that, and now that seam is, for all intents and purposes, settling in with the adhesive. And I don't have to worry about it beyond there. Okay, and this one is going to go here. And that'll put it all together. And because I've already done the work on the one side, I just need to like dab this in a little bit on the other side, and everything should seal up nicely. Okay. And that's pretty much good right there. And so now I can just put it on his head like so. There it goes. It locks in place because of how the fur pattern is arranged. So, there. I forgot that they did this, because that's something they started doing with their new minis, is to try and keep everything's like all the parts consistent to the model, is they've put little letters inside the joints or at the contact points, so you know that, oh, these arms go with body A, or these legs go with body C. And that's been incredibly helpful. Oh, look at him. Oh, you can't see him. He's stretching out. So yeah, the fact that they've done that with a lot of the Space Wolf stuff has been really nice. When I was putting the Space Wolves together, I realized that they do that across the line, and that way you also kind of get an idea of this is arm A, and it goes with complementary arm A. or so it like pairs together that way, so you don't accidentally jumble it up and put the wrong hands and arms together, which when they're holding two-handed weapons is a big deal because then it won't fit right. And trust me, that is bloody annoying. Unless it's an active thing you're trying to go for and you've got ways to work around it. Accidentally putting the wrong hands to or the wrong arms to the wrong gun or whatever, incredibly frustrating. And Games Workshop has generally gotten so good that you don't see that a whole lot, where things don't look like they're supposed to fit together. And you can almost guarantee that if something's not fitting together, it's user error. Okay, same kind of thing here. Everything is just kind of shaving off because all I'm doing is smoothing that down. The cool thing for me is that this stuff isn't really going to be noticeable when I start priming everything. Because those amounts, those like little scratches and lines are going to be too small for most human eyes to pick up, or most paint lines. So at that point, I'm just kind of getting it so that they're not super obvious. Okay, get on there. There we go. And again, this little crotch nubbin is going to fit inside the gap. And I'm just going to hold them in place for a second as everything kind of settles and dries. I'm kind of frustrated about that, that 3D print, because I thought it was going to go well. Okay, same thing. We're just going to go ahead and really soak that in. And since we got you here, I'm going to try and use all of my brain power to really get this guy saturated. And then we're going to put him on him like so, and hope that the liquid cement will do its job. There we go. Set him down. Just gonna hold the boy like this for a second. Ladylike. This is your first time chat, and it's gonna be like your last time chat. You horrible, horrible thing. We're gonna ban you, and we're gonna report you because I hate you. Is the main reason. Reports. Bots. Yeah, viewership tampering. Advertising bots. Whoever thought AI was a good idea, you're dumb. I'm sorry. You're very dumb. AI is not a good idea. It's actively making things worse because it is being used for enshittification of everything. So, yeah. Just think on that for a minute. Think of all the things that you enjoy, and then think of like the most derivative quality version of it, and then know that that's what we're creating with AI. If you enjoyed streaming, and you knew that there were going to be people who were going to try and encourage you to do other things in streaming, just know that these bots are doing it in the laziest, dumbest way possible. And it's all just so friggin' insulting to our intelligence. It's like saying, hey, we didn't bother actually making this thing. We just told a thing that is supposed to appeal to the most people possible to make a thing. So we are giving you Big Macs and telling you to enjoy Big Macs because it's high art. And it's just like, man, I hate AI so much. And it's just kind of a thing where it's like, you don't have to convince someone that something is good. They can discern it. And so if you got to spend all your time convincing someone that something is good, then it's not good. And that's a hard lesson to learn, and it's a really frustrating one, but that's what it feels like is happening with the AI. Trust me, AI is going to be great. It's going to do this, it's going to do that. Okay, cool. When it gets to that level, I might start paying attention, but until then, I do not care. Until then, it is mediocre dreck, and it is wasting my bandwidth, and destroying my environment and raising my property values in weight, or like property taxes, while making my place unlivable. So it's just like, that's not what I need nor want. So yeah, I hate AI. I hate the current limited language model thing. I hate the AI data centers. I mean, everyone hates the AI data centers. That's really funny that that's the one thing that everyone seems to agree on is AI data centers suck. So, yeah. it is what it is. I'm not going to solve all the problems of the world sitting here putting together this Space Wolf Cavalry. And instead, I'm just going to continue working on these guys while listening to Yakuza music. Okay. Snip, snip. All that should be good. I do kind of wonder if anyone falls for these AI advertisements that aren't just other AI. That are like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to inflate the viewers on my stream with bots. And that way, it'll feed the algorithm and I'll be successful. But to do so, I'm going to have to pay a shit ton of money. And give them access to my personal data. And that won't backfire on me at all. It will just be perfect. Because these AI bots, these people who make these AI bots, they clearly do so through altruism. And so what that means is that they're looking out for me. It's kind of like an old joke that I heard from Roseanne, of all people, from her show, where one of her daughters is struggling with self-image, and her tomboyish sister is mocking her for looking at her dad's hidden magazines and posing and making faces like the girls in the magazines. And it's played for laughs, except they have a real heart-to-heart, or they start to. And she asks her mom, why do men want to look at the girls in those magazines? And she just kind of sarcastically says, well, they think they're looking back at them. And that's just kind of how I feel about inflating your success with fake viewers. It's so dumb. It's like, I'm not in this to make money, you know? And most people who are streaming that become famous, or at least modestly famous, are also not in it to make money. They're in it because they're doing something they like to do, right? The only reason I'm streaming this is because I enjoy mini painting, and I know there are other people out there that also enjoy mini painting. And so if I can give them a community to enjoy mini painting together, then I've won. And if other good things come out of that, then that's cool. And if they don't, then that's also cool. The good thing that came out of it was that I got to mini paint in front of people. But, you know, it is what it is. I do wonder how many streamers out there have spent money on AI bots and are really, like, I don't want to say hustling, because they are, but at the same time, they're really not. But they're really trying to make this work, and they're doing so by using AI bots, and then hoping that feeds enough into the algorithm that makes other people start watching them. And I don't know. I don't know how the dynamics of that work. I'm not a social anthropologist. I don't know enough about people. But it just fascinates me, because I hate the fact that the algorithm is a thing, because that forces people to do stuff like that, as opposed to just being stumbled upon and having people just be like, yeah, I like your vibe. I want to watch you. Because that's how it should be, right? Like, that's the whole point of this, is trying to reach out and be seen and be a community. But the algorithm basically tells you, we're not going to actually show you to people unless you already reach a certain threshold of popularity. Until then, you're just going to toil in the mines blindly, until hopefully enough people stumble upon your videos that you start drawing them in enough for us to advertise you to other people. And that just feels bad, I guess. But at the same time, I do suppose it's just kind of like, people will find you. And the fact that Twitch is a platform that just kind of lets you go up here and stream and do as you want, which is, you know, what I'm doing, and it allows people to find you, I guess that's pretty cool in of itself. But I don't know enough about how their algorithm works to know if it's actively steering away people too. Though I do suppose I kind of got into the mini painting game a little late, and that I probably should have started streaming a while ago, or at least kept up with it, because that would have allowed me to continue to amass followers and attract viewers. Because I was getting to a point where that was kind of working, I think. And then I stopped because things happened and things got real bad. And then things got better and are not bad. So I did it again. I did it again where I put his butt on before I put on his other leg. So I need to put on his other leg. I did robo leg for the other one as well, so this one is going to get not robo leg. He's going to get 27 and 34, I think. Yes. So yeah, I know there's no ideal way about it, and that we're kind of in a situation where it is survival, and you've just kind of got to hope that the fates are kind to you. And yeah, just consistent effort is the best thing you can do. And it kind of stinks because I used to stream a lot more. I used to stream every few days because I was so into it. I'd wake up really early and stream, which feels insane now, but I used to do that. And that was how I was able to build a small following. And then I disappeared off the face of the earth for like 2 years, and the following is now gone, which again is fine. There are still some people that hang out on my Discord and whatnot and chat, and that's okay. But I'm very curious what would have happened had I not sliced my finger open just now. Ow! Had I not stopped, had I kept going. And I don't want to say how big I would have been because I didn't have time to really do much to expand what I was doing. So like, unless people started offering up their services to help me build more of an engaging platform, I would have plateaued at some point pretty hard. And I don't know what that would have looked like. It would have probably been fine, but I'm curious how far my natural desire... Hell yeah. Just my natural ability to ramble incoherently and paint kind of good would have taken me, you know? Okay. This one go here. I'm kind of surprised to see he's got some robo legs, so that means he lost some feet, which actually makes me sad because he's a dog. Whether he's a dog or not, he's a dog. And knowing that the dog hurt itself makes me very sad because I love Doggo. It's like that one comic where the guy's like, I'm gonna do the bad guy route. And then he has the option of petting the dog and not petting the dog. And he doesn't pet the dog and it looks sad, so he throws himself in the garbage. And he's like, it's where I belong. That's kind of how I feel when I see Doggo that is missing part of its leg. Feels bad, man. At the very least, he can stand up okay. He's got a tripod. And soon, he's going to have the rest of his leg. He's got 28 and 33. So, I'm going to do a little bit of that. I will be completely honest, and I feel bad about this because I'm really not fond of where the company is going. But I am legitimately curious what the next actual Yakuza sequel will be. Or if there'll even be another Yakuza sequel. Because they've eliminated so much goodwill among some of their fan base. And it was an extremely passionate portion of their fan base. That it really is just like, where do you go from here? Because you've kind of told the fans who you are. And they're not going to forget it because you release a new game with Ichiban or whatever. Because they spent a long time kind of building this relationship with their fans of like, our stories are about empathy, our stories are about forgiveness, our stories are supposed to be thematically about broken people who find each other and who become stronger through the bonds that they create. That kind of stuff, right? And like Yakuza 7 especially was about like the marginalized people. Those that society had forgotten. And how important it is to remember that they're people too. And then all the stuff with Yakuza 3 happened. And then the stuff with Tupac happened. And it's just like, you guys have really lost your way. And, you know, it's just, where'd the rest of his face go? I've got one side of his face and not the other. Where'd it fall to? It really is just kind of like, okay, where do you go from here? Oh, there it is. Where do you go from here? Because you can't really be like, just kidding, guys. We're actually championing the marginalized again. When you spent the last game being like, we hired this face swap because he's a good actor, but also because he's kind of a creep in real life, and we wanted our character to be a creep in game. It's like, this is not someone you should be giving money to, and I'm kind of sad that you're platforming them. And so it's like, it's not funny because you spend a huge portion of the time that you've been making these games creating a character that very much calls out injustice when he sees it. And he doesn't pick on those that are quote-unquote beneath him. He fights for them. He befriends them. And to see them go from that to be like, let's mock the booby-grabbing action again, or whatever they did with Kagawa and everyone else. And it's like, we can't really trust you anymore. You've shown us who you are. And that's something a lot of people, I think, forget, is that we don't owe forgiveness. Like fans, people in general just don't owe you forgiveness. It's like you've shown us who. Like I can't say it enough. You've shown us who you are. Why should we trust you? Right? And I think that's the biggest thing, is like RGG has consistently started to show us who they are. When they talked about adding Tupac to the new game, it was like we thought it would be profitable. And it's like, the man was gunned down. And it feels weird that you want to add his likeness to a game because you thought it would make you money. It would be successful. And that might be a translation thing, but it just feels icky to say out loud. We thought adding this dead man's likeness would increase our profit margins. Just, ugh. You know? And so I really wonder, because I really like the Yakuza games, if you can't tell by my music and the fact that I tried to stream Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's just like, where do we go from here? And I hate the fact that I can't really play it anymore. I can't play the new ones because of the business decisions they've made, you know? And it just kind of sucks. I'm just hoping that, I mean, we're seeing it a little bit with some of the business decisions Warhammer's making, but I'm really hoping that as the company gets bigger, it doesn't become increasingly profit-driven, because it is publicly traded, which is in itself kind of a caution thing, but at the same time, they're going to have to continue to appease shareholders. And so, like, they recently did a thing, and I don't want to complain about it too much, because I was just like, oh man, that happened, where they took the Baneblade off of the store, right? And it was like, the Baneblade, for those who don't know, is a big super heavy tank for the Imperial Guard. And it used to come with a ton of sprues and a ton of parts. And if I remember right, it had almost 400 parts on its sprues, which is an incredible number when you think about it. But it was a really expensive big model. And it's very iconically 40k because it's such a huge friggin' tank. But anyway, they took it off the store shelves for a little while. And then when it came back, it had a couple less sprues. And they were selling those sprues separately as online-only bits for combined more money than just the Baneblade used to be. And it's like, that feels awful. And there's got to be some kind of justification for it other than we want more money. And I'm curious what it is, but at the same time, it's just like, that feels yucky. And I don't know if you follow Weird Al at all. For those of you who don't, Weird Al recently, some news came out that Weird Al, it's good news, turned down like an AI sponsorship, and also turned down a ton of money to play in Saudi Arabia, I believe it was. And he said it was more money than he had ever made off of any concert, I think was the exact phrasing. And he didn't get really political about it. He didn't really, like, grandstand. The way he described it was, I didn't feel right taking money in it for a situation that made me feel yucky. And it's like, I love the word yucky, because even though it's a simplistic, almost babyish word, it does such a good job of kind of conveying your emotional status with certain things. And in a pretty inarguable way. Like, I don't drink, and it's entirely because I don't like the taste of alcohol, and I tend to taste it in pretty much any drink that has it in it. But the way I used to describe it to people who would get incredulous that I don't drink is they'd be like, well, why don't you drink? And I shouldn't have to explain myself, but I think it's more just a curiosity thing than an accusatory thing. And I would just say, I think alcohol tastes yucky. And there's nothing you can really say to that. It's just like, not, well, why do you think it tastes yucky? It's just, it tastes yucky. I don't like it. And that was usually enough. And so, using the word yucky, which is starting to lose meaning because I've now said it too many times, does a great job of explaining a lot, conveying a lot of context behind a very simplistic word. So yeah, I appreciate that, without having to dig in his heels and explain a whole bunch of stuff, Weird Al was able to explain why he didn't play a show in Saudi Arabia by just saying, it made me feel yucky. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. And it's like, you know, I can understand, and I appreciate. Good words. But yeah, it's kind of like that same thing with Yakuza, the Yakuza series, and RGG and whatnot. It's like, I don't feel comfortable playing your guys' new games and spending money on your stuff because you've kind of let us know where your principles lie. And with the Baneblade tank, it's kind of the same thing where it's just like, so it was a perfectly fine selling kit, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was the whole thing. Maybe it was because it wasn't selling well, and so they wanted to keep the essential parts in there while lowering the price of the oh no, he lost his head! While lowering the price of the core model. And if you wanted to expand it further, you had the options, but they weren't just going to bake it in there so they could save some money on production costs. I don't know. But Games Workshop doing that just felt yucky. And they've done stuff like that a little bit, where they've had to explain, like, due to rising costs and rising cost of production, we've had to raise the price of our stuff by like 5%. And it's like, okay, fine, I kind of get that, and I hate it, but I kind of get it, and it's not okay, but I kind of get it. But with this, it just feels like this came out of nowhere. And I know there are some people that are really side-eyeing it because they did this right around the same time they lowered the cost of the Baneblade, and it showed up in a few tournament-winning lists, or like a tournament-winning list or something. So it's like everything about that just feels bad, man. And again, I know we're kind of in a good position to be complaining about that thing of all things when there are a lot of other much worse things that I could be talking about. But this is kind of a hobby channel, and I am just kind of hobbying. So I guess it makes sense that the things I talk about are going to be about hobbying. Okay, so we're just going to put this guy on here and hope that I don't accidentally knock him off. Oh, I did it! I did it. He's riding. He's riding the Wolfie. Okay, so that's gonna go here. I'm gonna press down on this for a second and just kind of let it settle in, hopefully. And then I can start going ahead and putting like the rest of the bodies on these guys. What I think is kind of funny is they've got these little torso pegs, but their actual torsos I don't think have those pegs. So I don't know what they're supposed to be there for. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just leave this guy like this, and hopefully all of the glue will start to settle. And the next thing, for those who do not know, is doing a whole ton of torso stuff, because I think the last 2 pages are literally just like, here's how you put all the stuff on the guy. Here you go. Here's all the stuff that goes on the guy. So this is just kind of dealer's choice. What's happening over here? Nothing's happening over here. Why did it flash at me? I don't know. I don't get it. That's fine. Whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of the next thing for me to do, is to just go ahead and start building torsos and then putting them on the mini. Now, on the other one, all the guys, I just kind of had them, you know, gripping the wolf and then holding shield. I think these ones are going to be like chainsword and pistol. Because I think, yeah, it looks like there are enough pistols and bolters and whatnot. So they're not actually going to be holding on to the wolf at all. They're going to be using gun, which is going to be fine. And okay, so we got some stuff. We got some pauldrons over here. We got some weapons and stuff over here, some greeblies. We got the heads over here. And I don't think I used these ones. I think I used all the... Oh, no, I think these ones I didn't... Well, one moment. I've got them right over here. Why don't I look at them? Okay, so he's got the short head, and he's screaming. So I've got that one. And the leader dude, he's got the twin beard, so he's that one. I'm on the road right now, but want to support me in the squad, run deep in your next stream. Add me on Discord. I have no idea who you are. And I don't know why you're... No, I don't know you. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Username is Rozda06. Okay, that's cool, Toms. I don't know who you are, but I'm not adding you on Discord. That's how I got hacked. So, we're gonna go ahead and ignore that.
See, this is what I mean about the bots.
Because unless they have something out... Yep, I got another long face guy, and that long face guy is this one right here, so we're gonna get rid of that.
This is what I mean about the bots, is like...
I don't know how I got hacked, but I got hacked back in, like, May, which was a great birthday present. But, yeah, that was not a fun thing to have happen, and have my Discord spammed with, them reaching out to everyone and then muting them to try and get them to click on a cryptocurrency link. So it's just like, I don't fucking trust you anymore. And I know that I'm kind of yelling to no one with that because, you know, it doesn't care. It really doesn't care. So, whatever. But it's just like, that's weak shit. Okay, so we've got 3 right-handed swords, which is fine. I can do not right-handed sword. I also have a left-handed gun, a right-handed gun, and a left-handed plasma pistol. So I can probably do right-handed gun, power fist, if I really wanted to. Or... let's look over here. What do we have on here? We have backpacks, and we've got chest plates, and we got more shit. Okay. So it looks like that is one of the ways how this is going to have to go. And that's fine. So what I'm going to do, I think I did boom, boom, boom last time. So I think I'm going to do boom, boom, and boom this time. Because they give more front plates than back plates. And that's perfectly fine. Oh, no, they do have the little slot for the peg. That's adorable. Okay, so... I think in any case, this is meant to be for the leader, so it doesn't really matter either way. Bink, bink, bink. Bink, bink, and bink. Now, what's kind of neat to me is that the cut is so smooth that these are being pressure fitted in here. I just think that's really neat. These can go over here for now. Oh wait, no, I don't need to do one of those because I have... where'd the other one go? It doesn't matter. I have the other... yeah, I have these guys right here, so I can do that. Let's go ahead and do that. And then do that. I will say something I am very tickled by, and this isn't a bad thing, but it's just how much space there is on this sprue. Because with the new ones, everything is so tightly crammed together. It's like there's no room for anything. So the fact that there's just so much free space floating around here, it's weird to me. Oh, I didn't get this one? Okay, I'll get that one right there. Bink. It's just weird seeing so much empty space on these sprues. Because they become a whole lot more efficient on that. Okay, so... I kind of wonder if I should... no, I was about to say, I kind of wonder if I should just do something naughty now that that guy's giving me some goofy username. Is give it to another bot, and have that bot add him, and then have that bot spam him and see what goes on with that. Though I don't know enough on how... whoops! I don't know enough on how to do that, so I don't think I'm gonna. Because I don't know anything about it. Okay, yeah, these do have little pegs. You can kind of see the indentations on the bottom half. But again, I want to reiterate, who falls for that stuff? Who's like, me and the squad are rolling deep into your next stream. Your name is Rozda. I better add you on Discord. It's like, who falls for that? Who actually looks at that message in their chat and goes, oh my goodness, I could have a whole bunch of people viewing my stream if I add this guy on Discord. I don't know. I have no idea who they'd be targeting. Okay. This is another chest plate. This is a back plate. I also, to be completely honest, I can't get over the difference in scale between these Space Marines and the newer Space Marines, the Primaris ones, because it's so absolutely wild how big they've grown and how much better, quote-unquote, the scale has gotten. because the scale has gotten better if you want more realistic scale. I like these doofy little guys a whole lot, and I think they have a whole lot of character, but that doesn't mean the new ones are bad. I'm deleting this shit. I'm tired of looking at it. Ban, timeout, delete message, delete message. Yeah, I don't want to see that anymore. And I can show you what I mean in a second, because these look like toddlers in comparison to the Primaris Space Marines. And it's just because of the scale creep that's happened over the editions. And it's been kind of an issue, because it's also made armies harder to transport. So while they can, and it's also made them honestly harder to paint. There's so much more detail in them now, you feel like you really got to go all out when you get new models, and if you don't, they're going to look inadequate. And it's honestly another reason why I like these little guys so much. I felt like with the character models, yeah, you can go really hard, make them look really good, and you can keep the level of detail on the regular rank and file looking acceptable, you know what I mean? But let's go ahead and squeeze that. Okay, so like if we look at this torso and compare it to this torso, it's like, look at the size difference in these guys' midsections, right? There's going to be such a big difference in the overall height of them. And it's just kind of impressive. And also just the size of the body and whatnot. It's, you know, it's stuff. It's stuff. Okay, so... And again, all I'm kind of doing is shaving down and filing down as best I can these mold lines, so that when the backpack goes on the Mini, you don't see these giant, ugly mold lines everywhere. Now, lore-wise, for the Wolves of the Space, I don't know anything about the Thunderwolf Cavalry. I don't know where they come from or why they're important. I mean, they're obviously space wolves riding giant wolves, which in itself is pretty darn cool. But like, why do they exist? And how do you get the rank of becoming Thunderwolf Cavalry? Do they have whole troops, whole stables where they catch these wolves and then they breed them in captivity and then they treat them like horses, or do they find them in the wild and they've got to tame them that way? It's very weird, and I don't say that in a bad way. It's a neat visual, but just the logistics behind it, which I should not be thinking about given that it's 40k and logistics mean nothing in 40k. It's just like, how does all of this work? And the answer is, who cares? I'm missing the point if I'm trying to figure out the logistics of Thunderwolf Cavalry, you know what I mean? Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Just gonna wedge out this chunk right here, hopefully. Yep, that was good enough. And again, just getting rid of some of that mold line. Getting rid of some of the mold line so that one... Yaha! And we got this one next. You know, it's kind of like, I mean, that's the same with all the technology in 40k. None of it really works, and arguing about whether or not it works or how it should work is a colossal waste of time. And people who do that, I'm glad that they're enjoying themselves, but they shouldn't take it too seriously. Logistically, none of it makes any sense. If you look at the amount of personnel and staff that's required to support a modern military and realize it has to be 10 times bigger to make 40k halfway make sense, it doesn't work, and it's fine. It's silly, and that's all that matters. This is wish fulfillment by teenage boys and high school kids and whatnot. So while it is fun to talk about, don't ever treat it too seriously. Okay, you can go there. You can go there. Okay, and the next thing that's going to need to happen, thankfully, with the other ones, I kind of had to line up the arms so that they would fit right and grip the manes of the fur of the wolves. But with these ones, I don't really need to do that. I can just kind of place them on there and point them at a direction, and as long as it doesn't look entirely ridiculous, then they are pretty good to go. So there is that as a thing that can happen. So I'm just going to let this stuff dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and start building the arms now, because I've got... Actually, no, I probably ought to shave down the heads, so I might do that. Yeah, get a little bit of that stuff off there. And then here's the fun part. They attached him to the sprue on like the thinnest part. Ow! The thinnest part of him. So I'm gonna have to very carefully shave this down and try not to lose the beard. And again, this is where a sharp knife would be incredibly helpful, Ben Repaints, but apparently Ben Repaints is too stubborn to use it. Don't be like Ben Repaints. Don't slice your thumb open. Okay, so same thing here. We're just gonna get under here. And I will say, this one tickles me tremendously because he looks remarkably like a character from Look Outside, or not Look Outside, No, I'm Not a Human. If you've never played No, I'm Not a Human, hey Major Asnabal, it's been a while since I've seen you. But yeah, if you've played No, I'm Not a Human, there's a character that has like this yell exactly. So what's going on is I got a very large commission from a game store that I'm trying to kind of ingratiate myself with. They offered to let me buy or exchange for me some boxes to finish out an army that I'm making, or my Imperial Fist army, if I would paint 2,000 points of Space Wolves for them. And I just about had a cat because 2,000 points of Space Wolves is a lot, but it also means that an army that I have painted is going to be on display at the store and is going to be usable by store patrons. So it's like, yeah, I think I'll do it. And I'm getting severely underpaid to do this, and that's perfectly fine because they don't have a whole lot of money to work with, and at the same time, they're going to have they're going to have people come in who are going to see my stuff, and then when they see my stuff, they might be like, I want my stuff painted like that, and then they'll give me money. So this is one of those ones where like exposure is going to lead to more, and that's what I'm kind of hoping for. How did I present my art to them? One of their regulars who kind of helped them found the whole thing, he was a person I was doing commission work for, and he told me at one point, like, you should really get in contact with XYZ because they're looking for painters, and your stuff is really good. And so he had me join like a group chat and told me to show off my stuff, so I did, and they were like, wow, your stuff's really good. And they mentioned that they were considering starting like a painting studio, and invited me to their store channel, and I liked the vibes well enough that I was like, I need to check this place out. And so I did, and then one thing led to another, and they were like, hey, could you paint the Space Wolf army for me? And I was like, holy, yeah, yes I can, and yes I will. That was a really dumb way of doing it all, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. So they were just kind of like, we trust what you're going to do with it, so go ahead and do what you're going to do with it. And I showed them a preview of what it looked like, and apparently I got the colors perfect for what the guy was looking for. So kudos to me, I guess. And now he's like, there's no rush on this. We don't expect you to be finished in any recent time. Take your time with it. But I'm kind of enthused about this, and I want this to look really good. So I've been hacking away at it amongst a bunch of other projects. There was one that I just finished that's on my Blue Sky, and I think I put it on my Instagram. It's called A Fallen Divinity, which is from the Conquest game. And that was a display quality model that I painted, and I painted it to display level, and I think I did a darn good job, so pretty darn happy about that. From what I understand, the client already has other stuff lined up for me to do, and I think we've talked about it already, so huzzah for that as well. So yeah, it's a way for me to make money, and I'm pretty darn jazzed that I have this opportunity to paint cool things for people in exchange for goods and services. But yeah, I've got most of the art. I've never left with that much Warhammer in my life, because they had the Space Wolves starter box, the launch box that came out with the renewal. What you call it? Most of them normally you give your stuff away. I'm not sure what that was in response to, because I tend to have a habit of rambling when I'm on here. But I walked out with a new Space Wolves combat patrol, a Space Wolves launch box, and like 4 character models. You don't paint armies, you do specialized things. I got you. But yeah, like let me move some of this stuff out of the way so you can see. So Thunderwolf Cavalry box doesn't need to be there anymore. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. These guys they've got the metallics on them and they've got their base coat, but that's about all I've done with them. So this is what I've done so far. And then I've got 3 other Space Wolf Cavalry that have been done. And oh no, one of the Wolfen fell over. And then I'm working on these because I kind of want to paint them all at once and make sure that my coating is uniform and my is uniform. And my hope is that I can do that. And eventually, when I get the last bits of it, because that's not the full army. He says he's got about 2,000 points, and that's approximately 1,400. I forget, but regardless, I think he's got more vehicles he wants me to do, because all we've got right now is Bjorn the Fell-Handed. But eventually I'm going to have all that stuff, and it'll be cool. I paint your focal piece of golden sand, you paint my army? Just kidding. That's what it feels like, right? I mean, for the most part, the problem with accepting a commission like that is that while I would definitely appreciate getting stuff painted, I like painting more than I like playing, so I would kind of be taking away the thing I want to do most to get an army, you know? And I know you're just messing with me, but like, this orc dude, I painted him. I'm not done with him yet, but I really like this model, and so I keep working on him, and I keep painting him to try and make him better and better and better. And eventually he's going to look really, really good. But yeah, it's just like, this is the part of it I was speaking of. Check this out. This makes me obscenely happy. I love this thing. Look at this thing. Look at this truck. Look at this truck. Tell me this truck ain't the coolest thing in the world. I love stupid truck. I love the fact that it's got a plow in the middle. I love that it's got 2 guns on the sides. There's going to be a lady with a sword on the top being like, drive me closer, I need to hit it with my sword. This is one of my favorite models I've ever seen. This model convinced me I needed to start an Imperial Guard army, specifically so I could play this model. So, yeah, I love this model. And that's the whole fun of it, is doing stuff like this. Getting to paint it up. Okay, what was I doing? Where was I going? How are things going? What's this? You're good. You're good. I have forgotten what I've already hit. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good? Oh dear. I gotta sneeze. Oh, sneeze went away because I yawned, I guess. And here's what I learned about myself. I love painting because I myself am an artist. The start, I really want to play the game, but I can't because I never get the painting army part. That's fair. I've painted more than enough for an army. I don't enjoy the game as much as I enjoy the painting. The game is fine for what it is, but it's not as fun as all of the thinking I'm doing as I'm painting the army. That's kind of become the big deal for me. Okay, so I'm actually going to pull this back out because this guy, they don't have a power sword for him, which is kind of funky. He's going to get sword 70, and it's going to be with that bolter. I like that bolter. He's getting that bolter. So that's going to go on there as well. And then that's going to go with, it looks like, Limb 88. Sure. Limb 88 is going to get a bolter. Because the other one didn't have any guns. They were all, like, melee weapons. And they're going to charge in and beat the shit out of you with their melee weapons and their storm shields. This set is going to be melee weapons and gun. They're going to be ranged, so that way, if someone wants to play them that way, they can. Okay, do that. Scrape that off. Do that with that as much as possible. Scuff it up a little bit, which is going to be nice for allowing the liquid cement to hold. Get a little bit of that off so that it's not so obvious. Slice that bit off the front because this is going to be a hole later. Scratch that off. But yeah, I freaking love the Commissar Graves model. Isn't 40k my only interest? For a while it was, but no, it's the only one I can afford to be interested in, is a better way of putting it. I really want to get into Age of Sigmar. I really like the Night Haunt. I used to play Magic the Gathering a lot, and the deck I played and kind of became my pet deck, even though I wasn't like a competitive player or anything, was Blue-White Spirits. And so seeing the Night Haunt just brought me back to that. It's like, oh my goodness, I can play my ghosts in a war game. And so I wanted to get into that. And then I started seeing the designs for the Grand Cathay from the Old World and the Old Dwarves, and it's like, man, I kind of want to play that too. And then I also saw, and I know this is, I saw like the Cities of Sigmar and how it is just like normal dudes fighting against these horrifying monstrosities. It's like, man, I kind of want to get into that too. And he gave some Night Haunt away to a new painter. That's pretty cool. Good for them. I hope they enjoyed them. But then I saw, the heck is it called? I've been seeing a lot of, I can't brain, I'm so sorry. A lot of stuff from Parabellum Games' Conquest series. And it's like, man, I really like these Conquest models. And I saw their 100 Kingdoms, and I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I want. So now I want to get into to Conquest as well. So while Warhammer is the one I have chosen to fixate and collect the most, it's not the only one I want to play. It's the only one I can afford to play. And then there was the whole, I was helping, whoops, his hand coming off. I was doing a lot of paints for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I was having a lot of fun with that, and I was like, man, some of these models are really cool, and since you don't have to pay into the game a million times, maybe I should get into Marvel Crisis Protocol. That one kind of faded real quickly, so that was a non-bow. But, yeah, there's a lot of games that I'm interested in. I just can't afford to get into them all, because, unfortunately, I got into wargaming around the same time. I also became very poor. And the fact that I have been able to buy as much as I have and acquire as much as I have for Warhammer is due to a combination of poor spending habits and making money off of painting. So I'm going to consider myself very lucky for that. Wrong one. Where is the chainsword? Now, the good news is I am right at the cusp of not being very poor, and once I am no longer very poor, I can start putting some of my money into... There's 93. I can put some of my money into these other hobbies that I'm looking into. And additionally, the gentleman who was having me paint all of the Who's a What's It models, the Conquest models, he is very interested in getting me into Conquest. So for the next 2 commissions I'm doing for him, he is buying me the starter set for 100 Kingdoms. So hopefully I will be able to paint those on stream at some point and have a whole lot of fun painting a bunch of peasants and, you know, normal men. And I will be completely honest, there's a very good chance I'm just going to paint them up to be like a grimdark version of the Monty Python troupe. So, like, each group of cavalry will represent one of the characters from Monty Python. Like, we're going to have a Sir Robin with a chicken for a heraldry and, you know, that kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking of doing, but I don't know. I'll see when I get them. Because they do have a lot of that knightly chivalry, blah, 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 medieval stuff, and I think that looks super neat. And I also want to get their walking angel lady, because she's so freaking cool. The Clockwork one, or whatever she is. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of stuff I want to get into. It's just a matter of monies. Because then I gotta buy army transports for all this stuff. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Just an intense desire to have everything. But yeah, I'm working in an IT field right now. And so what that means is that eventually I will rise up enough in the ranks to be able to afford this stuff. Oh my goodness. There you go. Why are you like this? Oh, that's no good. It looks like his hip didn't dry like it should. Did it? Oh, it's still curing, that's why. Okay, so set that in there. Well, actually, we're going to melt this down too a little bit. I'm having to do some weird finger gymnastics right now to hold on to everything, and it's making it very strange. I don't even know if I'm on monitor anymore, or on camera. I'm trying to be, but it's difficile because there's so many moving parts to these guys. Okay, so the plastic seems to have melted decently, and now it's just a matter of holding everything together. Okay, and now he needs a face. He's gonna get this guy's face. So we're gonna take his neck stump and do that. We're gonna take this and we're gonna do that. We're gonna add a little bit more because I want to make sure that it is thoroughly saturated. And then we're gonna hopefully make him stare at whatever he's shooting at. There he goes. Now he's staring at whatever he's shooting at. And so now he's like, oh no, I'm chasing you down. And then, where's the Space Wolfie one? There's the Space Wolfie one. So the Space Wolfie shoulder pad is going to go on this guy, since he's kind of the leader of this little group. And so I'm just going to go ahead and douse that in this stuff. Which is actually, I've mentioned it before, but this is actually not liquid cement. This is their airbrush cleaner, which is functionally the same, which I think is really cool, because it's a whole lot cheaper. So if you're really into, if you have a lot of painting you like to do, and you run out of the liquid cement, this is real, or cement, yeah, plastic cement. It's really good at doing basically the same thing for a whole lot less money. You can go, else you can go right here and hopefully not fall over. Okay. Oh, beans. Did I give him the wrong gun? No, I gave him the right gun. Okay. So this one is also going to get the guns and also going to get the everything else. So you, same thing. We're going to do the plastic stuffy right here. I'm going to mix this in here. And you're going to go right here. Whoops, you're going to fall off, apparently. Do that. He's going to kind of turn and look. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of that on there. It rained earlier today, and it's really messing with my sinuses, so the sniffling is... Bushido, you're into that, you're into AOS, you're into 40k. You wish you weren't into 40k, which is fair, because 40k is a money sink. I remember you talking about Bushido earlier, and I've seen some of the sculpts from that game, and I think they're super neat. For me, it's just a matter of, like, of the ones I'm interested in, that one's pretty low on the list. 2 starter sets for Song of Ice and Fire. Almost got to Conquest because I played a demo and I actually want to play that game right now, which is the closest I'll ever get to playing games. That's fair. Yeah, I watched the commission client play a game with his friend when I delivered some models for him. And I watched the game unravel, and it was like, wow, this game, A, plays really quickly, and B, is not difficult. And it's like those two things were exactly what I was looking for in a game, especially because it was rank and flank, which I've never played before. So it's like, this is ticking off a lot of boxes. I like the models, I like the idea of rank and flank, I like the fact that I can follow the game without ever having played it. So it was just a lot of things together that made me go, maybe I should get into this. And when he found out those things, he was like, oh, I have found my way in. It looks like Benry Paints is going to be playing Conquest. And so, yeah, I actually got to a point where I told them, like, yeah, look, I want to play 100 Kingdoms, I want to play this game, it looked fun. And they started offering to try and find me minis for commissions type deals. Okay, this guy needs his shoulder pads. So, yeah, I was pretty impressed with what it offered. And so hopefully, very shortly, I will be able to play that game. But at the same time, I'm still very deep into 40k. I just got the Orcs, or the starter box for 11th edition, so I am painting up the Orcs army, and I am painting up the Space Marines from there. I'm not really playing Space Marines, or I'm not looking to expand my Space Marines army this edition. I'm pretty much done with that. I found where I want them to be. But I am very interested in starting up an Imperial Guard army, and I have like a whole idea of the lore behind them and everything. So there's that happening as well. And it's just like, I've got 2 of those armies. I'm starting a conquest army. It's just I'm never going to do things again, have money for things again. That's the phrase I'm looking for. And the thing is I have dedicated pretty much all of my time and money to the Imperial Fists, so I don't have a whole lot of orc stuff. Most of my orc stuff came from the starter box, so I basically have to rebuild everything. And I think I mentioned before what I'm doing. It's really dumb and full of memes, but I want to do an orc army that is... One moment, what am I looking at here? Oh, that's really neat. I didn't even notice that one on the other one. So yeah, I think I'm going to use that. I'm going to do an orc army that is primarily bikes and squig hogs, and their whole thing is going fast and zooming back and forth across the map. And they are going to be called the Watobon. Oh, no, I did do that one already. Nuts. Oh no, I need a plasma pistol. That's what I need. Everyone else has, okay, so one of them can have plasma pistol. That was the whole thing. Want to split an Armageddon box? Unfortunately, no. I don't have any money. Otherwise, I would probably say yes. I admittedly do want to get more orcs, so that's probably not the split you want to do, because I'm assuming you don't want orcs. You don't want Space Marines, you want orcs. Which is absolutely fair. The Space Marines are heckin' neato, but the orcs are heckin' neatoer. And admittedly, that's another thing, actually. I really liked the Space Marines in this box. I thought they came out pretty good, even though they're not models I care about. So, kudos to them for coming up with cool models. Okay, so... Unfortunately, this didn't play out how I hoped, but that's fine. I think that one is going to be getting the bolt rifle on his side. I do like the orcs. They look great. Yeah, I think they do too. The Beast Snagga boys look fantastic. I think they're A+ stuff. My biggest thing about them... Give me a second, I'm looking at something. My biggest thing about them is that I need to have, like, I think 8 of them, minimum. I need to have 2 squads of Beast Snaggas, and I need to have, like, 3 squads of bikes. And it's just like, I don't have the money for that. I'm never going to have the money for that. So what I'm probably going to do is buy 1 set of Beast Snaggas and then 3D print the other one so that it matches the Squigosaur boss I have. Because I've got a Beast boss on Squigosaur, but he's a proxied one from Station Forge. And I really like how he turned out, and I want to use him in game. Even though I do want to buy the Beast boss on Squigosaur, because I think that's a cool model too. But yeah. Why did I do that? I gave him 2 guns. I could give him 2 guns. It would look stupid, but I could give him 2 guns. But no. He can't have 2 guns. He has plasma pistol, and he has chainsword. He didn't need plasma pistol and bolt gun. I'm getting tired, and it's making me distracted. But yeah, the new orcs in... I don't know if you've really, like, looked at them, but without exception, every one of the new orcs in the Armageddon box are freaking amazing. And I love them. And I'm so happy I got this box. Of all of the I've only done 3 starter boxes. I started in 9th, so I got the Indomitus box, and then I got the Leviathan box with the Tyranids, and then I got this one. Of all of them, I think this one has my favorite Xenos army. Like, the Necrons are cool, but they didn't really do it for me. I really like the Canoptic Reanimator and the Scorpec Destroyer Lord, but the rest of it was just kind of, okay, that's neat. And the Tyranids are fine. The Tyranids look fantastic. They just weren't my thing. And I was also kind of nonplussed that they gave them the Termagants instead of the Hormagaunts, because I felt like the kind that jump on you and ravage you to death is far more, or tear you apart, is far more thematic than the ones with guns. But that's just me. But anyway, they were fine. I liked some of the ones in there, but I unanimously, every one of the orc models in there were phenomenal. And I really liked them. So I think this has been by far my favorite, like, non-Space Marine half of a starter box in the 3 years that or 3 times I've done it. In 40k, I want to run the Raven Guard / Raptors, the Templar. It sucks that they're mostly black. You can do some fun stuff, though, with that, because, like, it doesn't just have to be black. You could give it, like, a little bit of a hint of blue underneath, or even a little hint of green. Because I remember, right, the Raptors are kind of like a drab green, so that is a very doable thingy. If you chose, if you wanted to. I need Chainsword for right hand. I also need to remember which is right hand. I found right hand. Yeah, they'll be military. You could do like camo and hate yourself because you've got to draw camo now on a bunch of Space Marines. But it is doable. I did camo cloak for an infiltrator from the kill team, and I don't think it was very good, but I still did it, so I'm kind of proud of that. I tried to follow like an YouTube tutorial, and I don't think it turned out great, but it's still there, and he still got it. And it's something I can now improve on because I have a baseline for the skill. Which has been a lot of my journey, is like, I did it badly, and then I learned the foundations of it, and then I did it better than badly. You have a ton of camo patterns saved? Well, that's very cool. Okay. So you've got a whole bunch of references and ideas already, and that's awesome. I think I just went with a standard, like, odd shapes camo. Because that's what the tutorial I was watching was suggesting, and I like the look of it. Because I did all of my kill team Space Marines to be like they were from the Badab War. So with the exception of the Retributor Astartes that I did as like the standard guy holding the bolt gun, every other one came from the Badab War. And so there's a whole bunch of, oh no, that's not what I wanted to cut. There's a whole bunch of different chapters represented in that set of Space Marines. And so I was pretty proud of that as well, because I normally paint Imperial Fists and that's it, and maybe Ultramarines or Salamanders when I get a commission for them. But I got to try a whole bunch of new patterns and paint schemes out. I had a lot of fun with that. Okay, so you need to go like so, and I'm just going to keep you pressed against it like so until you dry out. Okay, and other than the accessories, these went a whole lot faster than I thought they would. I'm kind of surprised I'm nearly done with them already. Now, my next big thing, in all honesty, is I want to go to a tabletop gaming convention. Because I've been to, like, anime conventions and pop culture conventions, but I've yet to go to just a straight yes! A straight tabletop convention like Gen Con or Dragon Con. Or Nova Open, which I kind of don't want to go to because they're apparently run by a bunch of scumbags. But there's a bunch of Adepticon's another one. But yeah, there's a bunch of tabletop gaming conventions I want to go to. And my hope is, again, with my financial situation stabilizing, that I will have the capability to do so. Why are you... Oh, I see. That I'll have the capability to do so very soon. That's kind of the goal. Yeah, no, I don't know how much you know about what happened with Nova Open, but it made me really not want to go, and I feel bad for the people who do go for fun and try to stay out of that kind of stuff. But it's like that, I can't ignore that. You're going to Kentucky Bourbon Brawl? I don't know what that is, but that sounds like a lot of fun. Whatever it is, I hope you have a lot of fun, and I hope nobody gets hurt. Yeah, see, I don't know much about the tabletop gaming convention landscape. I dated someone who was very much into the anime stuff, and so that's primarily what I know. And I know a little bit more of the Comic Cons because my partner used to table at those, so I got to go to a bunch of them with her. But beyond that, I'm at a complete loss. Okay, so you're pretty good, and you're gonna like list as you take a nap. Your shoulder is hopefully at this point pretty well secured on. It doesn't look like it is, and that's really frustrating. So we're gonna add a little more and see if that'll... Oh nope, you're secured on nice and good. Okay, don't have a clue. Also, the Bourbon Brawl is new. My second year. This is their second year. Very cool. Being part of those cons that are starting to grow and just kind of figure themselves out has to be a lot of fun because you're in on the ground floor. I can't remember exactly what happened at Adepticon, but it was basically like I think they disqualified some people for having like pride themed paint jobs or something, and it was kind of the opposite of what happened when some dude had, you know, fascist themed paint schemes for a tournament years ago. But regardless of the politics to that, it was bad optics, and they just kind of quietly fired everyone and then acted like nothing happened. And as someone with you know, an LGBTQ plus partner and who has a lot of marginalized friends, it was just like that's bad optics. And so it made me really not. And even though Adepticon is not Adepticon, Nova Open is by far the closest one to me, it's like, man, I guess I'm just gonna have to travel some more, because I don't appreciate how you guys handled that situation, and I kind of don't want to give you my money. But yeah, I hope the Bourbon Brawl is a good one, and I hope you have a lot of fun. I've never seen a holster for a bolt gun, and I kind of love that this exists, and I wish that more armies came with it. You won't ever go, it's too far. Yeah, it's on the east, it's near the eastern seaboard, which is where I'm from, honestly. So that would have been great, but again, like I just said, I don't wanna. Okay, so this guy is going to have his whoa, oh goodness gracious. I don't know how this is going to go on here. This is another thing, is I really don't like how a lot of these things are kind of halfway. They're put on here with like the assumption of, you'll get it. And I'm sorry, but I'm really stupid, so no, I won't. Does it maybe... Why would you holster it like this? This is really dumb. I feel like it's supposed to hang off their back, not off of their leg like so, because how am I supposed to grab this gun? That's my saying I don't want to. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so that's going to go there, and that's going to go here. Okay, so what I'm probably going to do is just holster it right there against the wolf's thigh and hope that all of this sticks. Hey Remnant, how's it going? I'm assembling very clumsily. I am assembling some Thunderwolf Cavalry as part of a big old commission I'm working on. And trying not to lose my mind, because these guys have such incredibly tiny bits, and they're incredibly clumsy compared to what I'm used to. But they're so cool. I like these guys. They're neat. And, yeah. I'm just trying... Oh, I never gave him his head. There you are. Had a 1,000-point game with your salamanders versus the orcs. I've heard that the orcs, they're not really the boogeyman of this edition, but they definitely came in strong. I hope your salamanders game went well with them and you lit many fungi on fire. There we go. He looks appropriately mad that he's shooting his plasma gun. Okay, so now I think the next thing I need to do is attach them to the base. You won 96 to 23. Very good. See, I know that that's a good score. I don't play enough Warhammer to be able to do something like that. I think I've played like 4 games, which is very few. Okay, so I'm glad that the game went well. You felt so bad about it. I get it. I'd feel pretty bad about absolutely blowing someone out of the off the mat like that. I played a game, I think it was like my second formal tournament game, and it was against Dark Angels right after like the Librarius thing came out, so they had a whole bunch of powerful units. And I didn't have a completely great grasp on how terrain worked, so I positioned all of my heavy hitters to basically miss their first shot or not be ineligible to take a shot, but leaving them completely exposed to the other guy. And I think I ended up losing like 72 to 9, and that sucked. I spent the entire game trying to figure out if there was any potential way for me to survive. But with the way he was deleting my units, I couldn't do anything about it. And so it was just like, man, this feels awful. But at the same time, it wasn't their fault. They were just playing the game. And they were trying to give me advice, because I think they saw that, oh man, I messed up the gun. And they saw that I was clearly out of my element and outmatched. And so they tried to make the game as close as possible, but between the bad rolls, my bad deployment, and the bad alpha strike, I was completely obliterated. But like I said, it was a lot of fun. There was no ill will or anything like that. It was a perfectly fine game. Oh, that's how he's supposed to stand on here. Yeah, it was a good time, I guess. It was not a bad time. It was just a very difficult time. Okay, so we can put that there. And what these should all do is I can just let this go here until all of you just kind of melt into the thing. And so all of these will eventually melt onto this plastic, and these guys actually turned out looking pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. But yeah, I got a buddy who plays salamanders. Unfortunately, he hasn't had a whole lot of time to paint or play. So most of his army is basically half primed and half base coated, sitting in my basement because he hasn't had room to put them in any of his living quarters. So my hope is that eventually we will be able to move on and he will be able to build his army and play and have a lot of fun. That just unfortunately doesn't look to be in the cards right now. Okay, you fell over, and that's because he's like mid-bound, so this one's a weird one. I'm not quite... Oh, it's because he's planting off of... Did I put this foot on wrong? Because he's planting off of it kind of at a weird angle. Yeah, he's just kind of... Another player at my hobby asked if I was up for a training game so he get into 11th. He didn't play much at 10th. Now I'm contemplating if I need to pick another army. Yeah, I mean, what you could do in that situation is, without, like, telling him how to play his army, just try and help him, put him in situations that would be smart plays for his army. Like, not just exposing yourself and getting ready to get punched in the head, but, and, you know, you're still going to play to win, but you're also going to let him know what you're doing and why, and what he can do to try and counteract it. Because you can still win with superior tactics. It's just a matter, you know what I mean? Because you get, yeah, you'd want him to earn the victory if he was going to get it, right? I love that he's listing off to the side, like, so, whoop, I was about to say, like, he's about to fall off, and look at what he did, he fell off. Okay, but yeah, that's always been a thing for me, is, you know, I'm not going to say play to win at all costs, but you can definitely play to win and still give your opponent a good game and a valid game, and they can still learn things from it. So, that's what I would recommend doing. Just give them advice, if they want to take it, about what could be a good thing to do in any situation. And play to win otherwise. Yeah. You typically superglue at the base and plastic cement the mini. Unfortunately for me, I've had bad luck with the superglue. It tends to want to not dry quickly enough, and then I have to hold it longer. This isn't even plastic cement. I've mentioned this before, but it's I mean, I'm being kind of anal retentive here, but it's actually the airbrush cleaner, and if I put it down and hold it for a few seconds, it tends to create a pretty good bond. So it'll be fine eventually. Everything's going to be fused onto this. And I'm not going for like an award in basing on these models because they are meant to be just a starter army. So the basing is going to be adequate, and it's going to convey that they are on a snowy plain once I get that far with it. But until then, it's just a matter of like getting some of these bits on here. Right? Oh my goodness, fingers too fat. Fingers too fat. There we go. You can go right there. And we'll just take a little bit more, put it here. Do a little bit of that. And there we go. And so yep, there's the boys. And so now I guess I can go ahead and put the texture paste on them, and I'll eventually get their bits on them later when I'm not having to fight the camera. Neat. Texture paste. If you don't use texture paste but you want to, I recommend Pro Acryl. Their texture paste is very good for what it is. I like it. Yeah, I don't need the snips anymore for right now. I might use them again a little later, but I can put them away. So I bought these. They're a knockoff of the of the, I think it's the Tamiya brand, that's supposedly really good, the God Hand ones. It's a knockoff of those, and it performs the job adequately. Whoops. They're a whole lot better than the ones I was using, which are an old pair of Army Painter snips from, like, 2020. But, yeah. If you are looking to get new snips, I strongly want to recommend these ones because they are day and night better compared to the ones I used to use, and are hopefully good enough to be ones that you would want to use. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and smear this on here. Because all this is doing is acting as a base of soil before I put some dead grass tufts and more rocks and, you know, all that fun stuff on there. It's just covering up the main stuff and giving the conveyance of there being slightly uneven texture. And I'm clearly going to need more. Now that's something I do wish I had more time and money for, is really good basing material, but again, in a situation right now where I don't have the most amounts of muns, so I can't buy some of the cooler basing bits, and outside of going outside and just digging in the dirt, I can't really get more stuff to make the ground more dynamic than a flat plane. Otherwise, these wolves would be like launching themselves off of, you know, outcroppings and whatnot. Okay, so that's going to be good enough for that. It's going to get covered in grass, flocking eventually. Oh! Air bubble. Oh dear, air bubble's about to fall off. There it goes. There's an air pocket in the tube and it just shot out a huge chunk of it. Just going to go ahead and again smear it across just to get it on there, get some coverage. Now, I will be honest, when I first got into the hobby, I was like, why bother basing? They're game pieces, who cares? But then I realized how much it adds to the model. And eventually, I will start really digging in on how to get good at basing and making it look more than just this, because I feel like of all the parts of my game, it's one of the weaker spots, and it kind of makes me sad because I know it's dragging down the quality of my models. Because while I can do decent bases, I don't know a lot of the tips and the tricks and whatnot that the high-level display painters know, and that's stuff that I want to start getting into, so I'm probably going to start studying that once I have more access to the materials. Okay, so that's going to look like that. And once I finish with this, it'll probably be time to go, because it looks like I've hit about 2 hours on the dot, and it's one of those things where I wish I could stay longer, but, you know, I'm tired. And it's also a school night, as my partner likes to call it, where I've got work tomorrow, and staying up later to be bad at a government job is not something I want to start a habit in. Okay, whoa, I lost track of him, but now he just looks like his feet are muddy, which is fine. You could spend some visits. True. Well, I'm not leaving yet, but if you're leaving, I appreciate you hopping on and saying hi. And it was good seeing you again. It's been a while since I've seen some of you guys, so seeing you hop on it always feels good. Yeah, I just need to start expanding my repertoire of videos that I watch, because mostly I focus on like the technical part of the painting. I don't really focus on the basing aspect. So I just need to start watching more videos and specifically looking for more videos that emphasize the basing aspect. Okay, that guy is about doneer as well, so I'm just going to let those go. Someone's shoulder pad fell off, and I'll have to grab that in a second and glue it back on. And I will do that in just a moment, as I've gotten this wannabe dirt all over my hands. Got to go there. Okay, it was your shoulder pad that fell off, so we're going to grab your shoulder pad. Try to take some of this. And dab it in there real good so it's got some of that liquid cement. We're going to dab some of that liquid cement on there, really smear it in there, soak it in there. And I'm going to spin this baby around, and we're just going to, whoops, apparently get it in the dirt, which is going to look terrible, but that's fine. Okay, so I guess my next thing is making sure that this is sitting on him very well. Okay, so that should be good now, and he should be good. And I think, yeah, that'll be a good place to call it. So, thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to see who we can raid. Who's online? Oh my god, go away. It looks like Frankie's online, Droppy is online. I don't know most of these people. Let's see who we've got. God, Smiling Beard Studios doing something cool. Let's look at this person. This is Miniature Graveyard, and of course it's going to give. Nope, they are. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and go over to them. So /raid Miniature Graveyard. Cool. Okay, once again, guys, thanks for joining me. That was a nice way to decompress after a fairly stressful day. So it was good seeing all of you. I hope to be back next Tuesday. Hopefully earlier than that. Probably playing some Look Outside. Who knows? But I'll see you later, and goodbye.